Hello and welcome to PM Studios, small basic tutorial number 14. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do a very simple database program. I will need to go fast or this will end up being about a half an hour tutorial. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to be learning how to use most of the very basic graphics window commands that we've learned already with a couple new ones, as well as we are going to be learning how to use two new libraries efficiently, the file library and the controls library. So the first thing we're going to do before we even bother working with any of the code is that we need to go and create a custom directory into in our program. And we're actually going to do that by going into whatever file, and I've already got it created. It is computers, removable disk drive, so it's going to be basically k/tutorial program. And in here you want to create a file, and you can name it whatever you want. Just name it after whatever you're going to be keeping track of. So I'm going to be keeping track of employees, so therefore I named him employees. And in here, once you've created this new text file, which you can do by right-clicking, going to new, and text file right here. Once you go into that text file, you're going to create one line, and on that one line you're going to have 0. This will come in handy later, and I'll explain it. After you've done that, you can open up a blank project and click Control S or click on the Save button, and then save it in that folder like I have already. So K tutorial program dbprog.sb. And you can actually save blank files, so it'll be in there, and you can not have to worry about saving it later to slow you down. You can just have it there when you need it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our graphics window. And we're going to assign the height to 480 and the width to 640. And we're also going to be creating a couple of variables. We're going to do num clients and we're going to get into the file library right off the bat. File dot read line. We're going to do program dot directory plus / and whatever your wherever your file is located or whatever it's called. So mine is called employees dot text. You're going to replace that with whatever yours is. Now a key thing to note here is that all text files start on line 1, whereas most code starts on line 0. The coding languages are just computers itself in themselves interpret 0 as a number that has a value. It has a value of 0. The only number that does not have a value is the number of nil, NIL. But that's for another time, another discussion. And also we're going to create a variable called empnum, and we're going to make that equal to 0. Again, that'll come in handy later. So now we need to start creating our text boxes. So graphics window.brushcolor equals, and then in quotations, black. And this works with all of the very basic primary colors, so the absolutes, so like black, white, red, green, blue. As long as you type them with the first number capitalized and put them in quotes, it should change the color correctly. Graphics window dot draw text, not draw bounded text. Now we're going to put in our XY coordinates, which for this is going to be 0, 55, and then our text is going to be employee num. And then we're going to get into the controls library. Actually, we need to add one more. Dot draw text. And this one is going to be at 200, 55, comma, and this is going to say only use for okay. Now we're going to get into the controls library, which is the other library that I was talking about, and we're going to add a text box, and that text box is going to have coordinates of 100, comma, 55. Thus, we'll put it at 100 pixels over from the left and 55 pixels down from the top. Keep in mind that for x coordinates, less means closer to the left side, and more means closer to the right side, and for the y coordinates, less means closer to the top, and more means closer to the bottom. So now that we've got that down, we're going to go ahead and copy all of this so that we can create all of our new variables. Oh, one last thing though, we do need to add a name to it, so enum. And that is why we call this impnum, so that we don't have any conflicts. So go ahead and recopy that. And we can go ahead and delete this line, as we won't need any more of these captions. Just that one, we still need titles for our variables. And this is going to be first name. And the coordinates for that are going to be 75. Controls for this are going to be 100. And these are going to be 105. And for the controls for this, that was my mistake, we needed it 50. So a good rule of thumb is that if you're putting text before a text box, we need to make it 5 pixels lower, just because the text box is 5 pixels thicker than the text itself. At least 5 pixels thicker on the bottom. So now that we've got that, we can rename it to something easy to remember and easy to type first. And we can copy this, since it's closer to what we need than the enum. Just change this to last name. And then 2 more, and we'll be done with these. This is going to be date of birth, and this is going to be birth date. And then this is going to be position. Okay, once we've got, we're going to go ahead and add our buttons now. So what we're going to do is controls.add button. And we do need to assign a name to it, so submit equals controls.add button. And the caption is going to be submit. And the coordinates are going to be, let's say, 300 down, 250 over. Just as an example, and that reminds me that I almost forgot, we need to adjust all of these. So this is going to be 155, that's going to be 150, this is going to be 205, and this is going to be 200, and this is going to be 255, and this is going to be 250. And keep in mind that we will probably need to adjust these text ranges right here. Like first name, I believe, needs to go there. Last name is fine. Birth date needs to move back maybe 10. And position needs to move back 10 as well, just as an example. So we have our submit button. Now we can go ahead and copy this, because we've got to make 3 more. And then the X on this one is going to be 1. We actually need to change this to 100. And this can be 160.